All right, hello and welcome to Just Animals podcast. I'm Ellen. With me, as always, is my dad, aka Guy.
Hi, I don't know if you can hear the blowing outside, but
No one
uh,
cares about your landscaper. Oh, look, you
so-
can afford a landscaper. All right,
yeah,
and
sorry.
joining us today, we have a very special guest. We have Jaida Elcock from MIT joining us to talk about. Actually, I will let Jaida introduce herself and give us a little rundown of who
Yeah,
she is and what she does
yeah,
because she's
Dana,
quite interesting. Go ahead.
she is.
Sure. Hello, hello. My name is Jaida Elcock. I am a PhD student at MIT and Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in the Joint Program for Biological Oceanography, which is a whole mouthful. So we just say the MIT Hui JP for BO, which is still
That's
a
still a
mouthful. But
lot.
anyway, yeah, if you want to shorten it, basically, I'm a shark scientist. So I study
That's
sharks.
easier.
I look specifically at like migratory sharks, looking at their movements. Where are they going? Why are they going there? How are they spending their time there? Are they eating? Are they not? We don't know. There's so many unanswered questions about so many different species. So I just kind of do my best to look into some of those mysteries and put the puzzle pieces together of the migration for a couple different species,
Oh,
trying to
that's
figure out
cool.
what's going on with their little lives.
Well,
And
let's
are
start
you?
off with mystery
Wait, hold
number
on. No,
one
no,
because
quiet,
you
quiet, quiet.
say,
Hold on.
let's
Are
kick
you
it.
still a part of? Are you still a part of Miss? And can you
Oh,
give our
yes,
listeners of what a little brief taste of what Miss
absolutely.
is? Perfect.
Yes, I'm also a co-founder and the director of public relations for Minorities in Shark Sciences, also known as
Woohoo!
MISS. MISS is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting gender minorities of color in the field of shark science.
Hell
You
yeah.
know, it's hard being the only person that looks like you in a room full of your colleagues, and so we founded this organization to create a community for people that look like us, that, maybe have similar experiences, somewhere where we can go to kind of come together and feel welcome and safe and understood, and
Have
also
your own
have a place
community
to
within the community.
exactly have our own community, and also build a platform for people that look like us to be represented so that our science gets out there, and also to be the representation for the little kids that look like us as well, to let them know that,
Hell
hey,
yeah.
science is totally an option for you too. So yeah.
Right. It's more accessible than you think because respectfully, Dad, majority of scientists that you see on TV and in general look like him.
They're as good looking as me. I don't know.
Okay, well
All right. Well,
let's not go like that.
that's great. I'm glad you're providing a nice role model for up and coming budding scientists. So good for you, Jada. Now let me
Thank
get
Okay,
you.
into
now
the
your
Thank you.
next
question.
question.
Now your question.
All right. Sharks are tetrapods. Shark lineage is older than tree lineage. We know they go back like what, 250 million years, maybe more.
More. Wait, okay, wait, can I pause really fast? Did you say sharks
Yes.
are tetrapods?
Yeah, yeah, what
That's
did you
what.
say?
Oh, snakes are tetrapod. Sorry, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. It says snakes. I don't
Snakes
even
are
know.
tetrapods, which is weird because like they don't have legs, but they evolved
Right.
to not have legs. It's a whole thing. Sharks, on the other hand, not tetrapods. They're vertebrates, but they don't have bones.
Right.
They
They're
are boneless.
cartilaginous, right?
Their entire, yeah, skeleton is just cartilage. Even like the jaw, where we think of it as like bone, where it's like
Right.
hardened, that's just calcified cartilage. It's not bone. And
Oh,
teeth don't count
wow.
as bone either. So they
Oh,
have no
interesting.
bones whatsoever.
Okay, so you
Wow.
mentioned the teeth word. So
The
sharks
teeth
regrow their
word.
teeth. Is that true? So how can we
Yes.
get some of that teeth growing DNA in us? Because we
Why
only
do
get,
you need more teeth?
well, we get one set, and then we get
You
the
get
baby teeth,
two.
and then we get the adult set, and then that's it. We're not
What are you
regenerating
doing that
teeth.
you need extra teeth? Are you doing math? What?
Well, as you know, but sometimes you get older, you get this thing called, what is that, root canal, and then they got to grind the heck out of you. And, all right, let's move on to the next question.
Wait, let her answer about the teeth thing. I mean,
Yeah, go
because
ahead. Yeah, how is that? What is that DNA about? I mean, is that a survival
do
of
you
the
have any
fittest kind of
idea?
thing? And what are they breaking their
So
teeth on? They're
I
not eating metal.
they're so I they can replace their teeth a lot. They're replacing their teeth constantly. It's on like a conveyor belt. They've got several rows of teeth.
Oh,
They
yeah,
move
yeah, yeah, yeah.
forward. When they get to the end of the mouth, they eventually fall out. So depending on the species, they can go through like up to like 40,000 teeth in a lifetime. It's actually wild. Yes. So constantly replacing teeth. Sometimes it breaks off in their food if they bite like a surfboard or something like that. People have seen like on like Shark Week or something, they're like, oh, here's this surfboard as like a decoy, whatever. Sometimes the shark teeth break off into the surfboard, or like their prey or something. So If it's not coming out naturally, just falling out, then it can sometimes break off. And then, because you've gotten to have a tooth that's now broken, you want to replace it. And so that's why their teeth are constantly being replaced. And it's really interesting because you can tell kind of a little bit more about a shark's diet based on
Yeah.
the shape of their teeth. So if you see like big serrations on it, it's probably, like those are perfect for like ripping and tearing. If you see teeth that are really like pointy and sharp with like not a lot of serrations, those are more for like grabbing things to not let go. So, looking at,
Oh,
and then there's some that are like flatter, kind of like grinding plates. And those typically
sure.
are eating
Like a
things like,
catfish or whatever.
right. So those are probably eating like invertebrates, like clams and crabs and stuff like that. So you could see those on like
Sure.
nurse sharks or like horn sharks and stuff like that. So depending on the shark, depending on the teeth, you can see kind of get an idea for what it is that they're eating.
No, that
So,
makes
what do
sense.
you think the evolutionary justification for the replacement of teeth is? Do you have a hypothesis on that?
That's a really good question. There's probably studies on that. And I'm not exactly sure if there are studies on it. Like, it's not something that I've necessarily looked into because I do
Sure.
more of like the movement side of things than like the
Right.
diet stuff.
Right.
But if I had to guess, I mean, it's just that they're I don't know. Maybe it's because like they're eating like I want to say because like they have to hunt so much to get their food, but so do
Okay.
so many other animals, and they don't have teeth
Right.
replacement. So
Could
I'm
Could
not
Yes.
part of it
sure.
be though, because I know, and this is just my Shark Week knowledge. Like they'll do like those discovery bites, like that's how like mistaken identity for a lot of shark attacks on humans. Like they're just trying to discover what something is, and like if you're just there's a lot of metal out in the ocean. So my theory, I mean this is one of my theories that you can totally dismiss, but like maybe it's because they do those discovery bites and they can potentially bite something that is not very teeth friendly, and it's like okay, you need more teeth now. Just is that
Right,
Well,
but they also have had tooth replacement for like since
that's true,
since they've been
right?
around. You
Before
know what I mean? So
stuff, yeah,
maybe it's to replace like I said, like these broken teeth. I
yeah.
think maybe another thing could be that replacement. Again, I don't know for sure, but an idea could be that replacement takes less energy than like making
Oh,
a
sure.
few like really really strong teeth, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah,
Especially
yeah, yeah,
when you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
like some of them have to like bite through bone and stuff like that. You have to have like something really strong to be able to bite through that. So it could be potentially something like that where it's just
Sure.
easier to replace them than it is to make really strong teeth that are going to last a lifetime. I don't know.
That's no,
it
that's a
possibly
Again, I'd have
is
to do some more digging on that.
it's
sure.
possible dental phobia. They don't like going to the dentist, but anyway, that's
That
could
too.
be.
Oh, are you gonna go floss
So
with
I
here's
have
a
sharks?
that.
question because you talked about diet, shark diet, and it says there is an omnivorous shark. We only think of sharks as carnivores, like meat eaters. So which one of
Yeah,
these sharks is
who are the
eating
omnivores?
plants?
Fun fact, there's actually two.
Oh,
There's the bonnethead shark, which is the smallest of the hammerhead sharks. So it
oh,
eats a lot of
cute.
things in like seagrasses and stuff. So if it's eating like small fish or like crustaceans and stuff that are living in seagrass beds, sometimes it eats the seagrass as well. And for a long time, they thought that that was just like incidental, like oh, it's just as it's eating fish, it's accidentally eating a little bit of seagrass. But
Sure.
they're finding out that they like have the I guess equipment or
I like the
enzymes
enzymes
or
in their
whatever it is,
stomachs or
right,
whatever. Yeah.
to digest plant matter and like get nutrients from it, and it is giving them energy. It's more than just
Oh,
like
no
oh, they
kidding.
ate it and then they passed it. Like it's so much more than
Right.
that.
Oh,
And the
wow.
same kind of deal for whale sharks as well is they're eating like sargassum. They've found sargassum, which is like a type of like brown algae seaweed. And so they've basically been able to find through like they thought it was also like incidental ingestion of it because they're filter feeders. So they just kind of
Right.
like open their mouth and like pull in a bunch of water. They're like, well, you have to be eating some stuff that isn't, you know,
Right.
zooplankton or whatever it is. And some of that happens to be plant matter or like this algae, sargassum. And so they were able to find out like using stable isotopes, basically you're able to see kind of traces of what other things are like, I guess, like in the tissues of the animal you're looking at, because that's what they're incorporating in order to like, get energy and grow from their food. You can kind of trace those stable isotopes from like their other sources and kind of pick out, oh, it's it's eating a little bit of this, it's eating a little bit of that. And they were able to find traces of sargassum too, and like plant matter. And so they're like, yes, they're eating plant matter and they're getting energy from it. It's not just accidentally eating it and then passing it. Like they're incorporating it into growth and energy, which is really, really cool.
Oh wow,
Well,
that's really
something else that's of concern. I'm not sure if it's as big a concern on the East Coast as it is the West Coast. You've heard of the Pacific garbage patch, I'm sure. So let's
Yep.
talk about plastic in sharks because it's in all of us now. But they are apex predators, and the little micro fragments of plastic are breaking down are being eaten by fish, and then sharks are eating those fish. So in addition to mercury, now we have to be concerned about plastic. So do you have any information for us on that?
Yeah, so this is like this phenomenon called like bioaccumulation, basically, where
right.
mercury is really high, and like things that are not great for you that are like in lower levels in some fish are very high in like top predators, because it's now consuming all of these animals that have lower levels of that, and it just builds and builds and builds until you
Right.
Right.
have the higher levels of these things in your predators like sharks. I assume that that would also apply to like the chemicals that we find in plastics, or
Sure.
potentially the plastics themselves, especially when it comes to our filter feeders, like our whale sharks, our
Oh,
basking
sure.
sharks, our megamouth sharks. I'm sure that they're ingesting so much microplastic as they're, just like indiscriminately, like
Right. Filtering.
open mouth feeding, right,
Yeah.
filtering through like an entire like bait ball of fish.
Right.
I'm sure that they're definitely getting, and especially with the thought that I just had was like with whale sharks and
Sure.
bonnet heads, with, you know, microplastics maybe getting trapped within some of these, like
Sure.
this plant matter,
Absolutely.
and then they're ingesting the plant matter
Right.
with all of like the microplastics that are trapped in there.
Right.
I don't know exactly like the levels of
Sure. Yeah. I don't.
plastics that are like
Right. I'm
in
sure there's someone
animals
doing
versus
those
plants or
tests.
whatever, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But that was
Yeah.
just another thought that I was thinking. But maybe benthic feeders, are eating, maybe there's like a lot of microplastics in the sand. Anyway, all of this is to say that there's plastic everywhere. You're absolutely right, Guy. And it's very sad to think
Yes.
about the fact that there's plastic in all of us now. Like we're finding it in ourselves. So of course we're going to be finding it in like the apex predators of the ocean.
Ooh,
We don't know exactly what effect that's going to have yet. I have friends
sure.
that are studying the effect of microplastics on corals because they're also filter feeders, and so
Oh, that's right.
they're ingesting plastics. Like all of these things are having effects that we don't yet know what that effect is going to
Right.
be.
We're
It's
in the middle
probably
of it.
not going to be good though. So,
Right. Yeah.
you
We're in the
know,
middle of that longitudinal study. Eek,
Right.
yikes.
yeah,
So,
it's pretty scary.
not my
And what?
turn. No, my turn. My turn.
Go ahead.
So, why sharks? I mean, besides the fact that sharks are I mean, I love sharks. Sharks
They're
are
cool.
amazing.
I love
Besides the fact
sharks
that
too.
besides that sharks are awesome, what was your interest in sharks and pursuing your academic career in shark studies? Great. That's great,
I
Beth.
think I think that it came from basically just not knowing.
Sure.
So I grew up afraid of sharks. I grew up in like the desert, and we went to California like two or three times growing up, and I was like, I'm not going to go in the ocean because I'm going to get bitten by a shark and I'm going to die. I was like terrified. And obviously that didn't happen. Your chances of getting bitten by a shark are so slim. You know how many people go in the ocean every year and then how many get bitten? Like
Oh, yeah, you're more likely to be
it's
killed by a
so
cow.
You'd
Like,
probably get hit by
you are
light.
you yes, you are more likely to get killed by a vending machine or a coconut than you are to get killed by a shark. Like your chances are so low. But I was terrified of them. And I just kind of like learned more and more through like Discovery Channel and like Animal Planet and Nat Geo, like
sure.
watching shows and documentaries and stuff.
Sure.
And the more I learned, because I think that knowledge is like the best way to dispel fear,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I think fear comes from just not knowing.
Not knowing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.